So I wasn't really that excited to see The Conjuring 2, unfortunately. I'd seen The Conjuring 1 and I liked it, I guess. It was pretty good, but I mean, thinking about The Conjuring 2, I was just like, I guess. Not that jazzed about it. Until it came out, and everyone praised it. And then I saw it. I was very wrong to think any less of this movie. The Conjuring 2 is the sequel to 2013's The Conjuring, which kind of came out of nowhere, basically. It was this just surprise hit that was both critically successful and financially successful as well. So that pretty much instantly generates a sequel. And the fact that these movies are actually based off the real-life cases of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren from the 70s instantly warrants a sequel of any type. And they could make like 3, 4, 5 of these movies because there's tons of case files that are out there that actually existed, which is just a really weird thing to think about. The Conjuring 2 is about the Enfield poltergeist, which is called one of the most famous paranormal cases in history. It was the Ed and Lorraine Warren's most famous thing. It is about Janet Hodgson, who is a 12-year-old girl living with her mum and her 3 siblings, who's been possessed by a demonic old presence that actually died in their house. Let's send Ed and Lorraine Warren to England, which instantly generates this different playing field for this movie. The first Conjuring was set in this house in the middle of the woods, so you're instantly thinking, yeah, some creepy shit's going down. But this movie, Conjuring 2, is set in this tiny little house in England, which instantly makes you think, oh crap, that's probably worse because those houses are so tiny. So all the action is just condensed down in this incredibly claustrophobic way. I'm not a claustrophobic person, but I still sat there in this movie and felt like the walls were closing in. It was just that, just tight, tense, ringing at my nerves. I don't get scared that often in horror movies. I don't really like horror movies, but The Conjuring 2 scared the shit out of me. It wasn't just jump scares. Jump scares do scare me. In other horror movies, when I've seen jump scares, I'm always thinking, oh, okay, that was scary, but was that really necessary? The Conjuring 2 has scares. It has jump scares, but it also has slight little things that just emanate this creepy factor. The visual effects, the cinematography, the sound design, editing, production design, music, everything culminates into this just thoroughly creepy environment, and that's exactly what James Wan does. I've never really been a fan of James Wan. As I said, I like The Conjuring and I liked Insidious, but other movies that he's done, I've never really thought, oh wow, James Wan is amazing. I've never seen any of the Saw movies past Saw 2. I didn't like Insidious Chapter 2. I really didn't like Furious 7, but now I see what James Wan can really bring to the table when he's just completely let out of the cage. It isn't just a scary horror film, but it also has some really great acting. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga play their roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren perfectly. You really believe that they're a married couple. They have this beautiful connection with each other, like any married couple should have, but at the same time they have this common concern for one another of pushing themselves too far. And the thing about this story is it pushes them to their absolute limits. You really see that both Lorraine is fearing that Ed's going to die, and Ed's afraid that his wife is going to go too far into the demonic realms that she can tap into. And I just loved seeing that, because not only did it make the action around them trying to, investigate what this demon thing is that's possessing this little girl, but it also gave the characters heart and made me want to care about them. And not just Ed and Lorraine Warren. I loved Frances O'Connor playing the mother of the family, Peggy Hodgson. She was very nervous and she was playing with her hair a lot and shaking her hands, because you really and with those little tiny little movements that just keep getting accelerated as all this fear and panic and paranoia builds and builds and builds, it makes you more paranoid, because you're really getting into, holy shit, I can see how afraid this mother is. There's this moment where all this supernatural stuff is getting to a boiling point, where everything's about to just absolutely blow out of proportion. All their beds are shaking, the entire house is shaking, and they wake up their mum, and she comes into the room and she says, oh, it's nothing, I can't see anything. And then the door slams and the whole chest of drawers lifts up and slams into the door as well. And the camera in this awesome shot turns around to see Peggy's face, see the absolute shock. You know when people say, oh, you look like you've seen a ghost? That's what that face is. No color. That's what I love the most about The Conjuring 2. It kept the fear factor going. A lot of horror movies kind of just play with it and then don't really ground it into anything real. It just kind of scares you a bit, has some big bombastic climax, and then it's over. The Conjuring 2 just kept going and kept getting better and better and better as it moved on. The second act's pacing was a little slack. I didn't like the fact that that these two movies, both The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2, keep pelling out, okay, this is all real life, because it kind of feels like almost propaganda for people to instantly believe in the supernatural. No, that's not the point of the movie. I did like how The Conjuring 2 was this great experience as a film, but I just didn't really appreciate that it kept trying to make you almost believe in what it's showing you. In the end, The Conjuring 2 had a few flaws, but nothing too major that ever took me out of the experience. It still kept the tension high, had some nice character moments, and in something that I've never seen in a horror movie do since Poltergeist. It was a great cinematic experience. It is easily one of the best horror sequels ever made, and it's probably one of only 2 horror sequels to be better than the original. And the other one is Evil Dead 2. And I definitely have to say that The Conjuring 2 is worth the ticket and the Blu-ray. So The Conjuring 2, I know you've seen it, everyone's seen it. I'm sorry this review is a week late. I just took a bit of time, I was working, I'm very busy. Now I'm flying out to LA. So thank you for watching. Anyone out there who is watching, thank you for supporting this. I love you all. Thank you for watching.